Very, very special guest of mine. For those of y'all who might not know, who might be just passing by this on YouTube or whatever, my name is Dr. Life, in the business of saving lives. I also have a prophetic name given to me. I have a prophetic name given to me at Oakwood University. See, where we come from, when you have your encounter where you wrestle with the creator and man and prevail, he changes your name. So, at the same institution that we're talking about here tonight, Oakwood University, when I received my call to go into the service to enlist in the military service of Michael and his angels, who fought against the dragon and his angels and cast them out. When I answered the call, the recruiter's call to enlist, the name that I was given when I went through the basic training, when I was upgraded to special forces, was the rugged prophetic ghost. The rugged prophetic ghost. And it simply means I have wrestled with God and man and prevailed. And our whole job is to fight for the underdog. Hello, Pamela. Yo, you serious? That's why we put a password on the truck. If that keep popping up, you're gonna have to shut it down. That's exactly why we put a password on it. Had cash register. You know what? I'm gonna go to YouTube. I'm gonna go to YouTube. I'm gonna go to YouTube. Yeah, that was crazy. All right. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to show you a document that started all of this. All right. So this is a town hall meeting. My son is a student. This says Oakwood University. So when I went to Oakwood University and registered my son, they gave us this calendar. And what we're going to talk about here today they said to us as parents, if you send us your children, we will make them stand out. This is what they committed to doing. This is a vow, this is a covenant. Send us your children, we will make them stand out. This is their words. They created this. Why did they create this calendar on standout? I'll tell you why. Because in the 1820s and 1830s, in the United States of America, some people of color, some free Nubian people of color were given information on health and wellness that they didn't have nowhere else in the world. Some people of color were given divine revelations on raising children, on health, on last day prophecy, on commandment keeping, on the testimony of Jesus Christ, and what the difference between false prophets and having the spirit of prophecy is. All of those components lead up to being a standout, not a follower. You can't come to this institution and leave this institution because this institution has taken a vow and been consecrated to stand out only, to stand apart and separate. Long before clowns like this came on the scene, before one brick was laid, the vision for laying the brick came out of the revelations that allowed the institution to be branded a standout. What does standout mean? This university said, come to this institution. We are stewards and trustees of a health message that guarantees that we will be custodians, and when your children come, they will come here and they will leave a standout. This is what you pay me for. Every faculty member, every staff member, anybody who takes a dime from this institution, if they have not fulfilled their obligations to standing out, they're thieves. They made this. It's everywhere. Stand out, stand out, stand out. It's everywhere. You go into Blake Center. Blake Center is the heart and soul. Blake Center is the heart and soul. What's up, Nike? Blake Center is the heart and soul. Once again, we're talking about being a standout. Once again, we're talking about a covenant that they made. I'm just giving you the backdrop of why we're hosting. When I dropped my son off and I registered my son, this university gave me this. And they said, you give me your child and we will make them a standout. We will make them stand out. The history of this institution is here to make them standouts. What's a standout? Welcome to a healthy new year, a healthy campus. Healthy Campus 2020. Healthy Campus 2020. This is in their own writing. So my son is supposed to graduate this year. Healthy Campus 2020 is what they recruited me as a parent on. This is their marketing campaign. Send us your child. And we will make them a standout. What's a standout? They define a standout. The components that Dr. Leslie Pollard said that he became an administrator to be a trustee and make sure that my child became a standout. And Dr. Leslie Pollard recruited every parent and every student to come to Oakwood University under his administration so that they can become a standout. What makes you a standout? In health. Remember, they said, Healthy Campus 2020. It's the year 2020, right? There's a virus going on, right? But if they had have kept their word, and if they had have put in place, if instead of having their own agendas, and if they have kept their word, the Most High God had already put that campus in position in 1830 to stand out in the midst of a virus, in the midst of a pestilence, in the midst of plagues, because that's what Matthew 24 says. That's what Psalms 91 says. And they said that they are the administration that we could safely give our children to, and they would use the principles that God gave in 1830. This ain't a Leslie Pollard initiative. This ain't an Oakwood University current faculty and staff initiative. Just like the king said, before Abraham was, I am. Before there was the current staff and administration, this was already in place. So as a trustee, if they have failed as stewards to do that which they said they was going to do. The last time I checked, when some children of Israel came up to the Mount Sinai and they failed to do that which, when they failed to put themselves in the right position on the right side of the Most High God, Moses told them, whoever is on the Lord's side, put yourself in the right position. Making them a standout and doing what you said you was going to do, that we hired and paid you your salary to do. We ain't pay you to embezzle no funds. We ain't pay you to go down there and enrich yourself. That is not what you was paid to do. You was paid to teach our children these principles: sunlight, temperance, adequate rest, nutrition, drink water, outdoors, use physical activity, and trust in God to defeat any virus, to defeat any pestilence, to defeat any disease, to defeat chronic disease. They've had a blueprint since 1830s. They've had a blueprint since 1830s to create a Hollywood supernatural standout camp quarantine. So now I'm going to show you. Now I'm going to show you what imposters are doing. What's an imposter? So if a specific individual in 1830, William Ford, was given a set of visions and instructions. And then when he shared those visions and instructions, a woman by the name of Ellen Harmon received visions and instructions. And then some vultures incorporated a corporation and then built hospitals and institutions and then changed the recipe and the formula for how to be a standout. So the imposters are individuals who have come after the change of the recipe, and they claim that they're going to lead you into good health, good wealth, physical, financial, holistic, spiritual, holistic wellness. If they aren't the original root who got the original blueprint and vision, they are an imposter. So I'm just gonna show you all a couple things, and then I'm gonna share the platform with my special guest, who is another concerned parent who sent us 17. We're gonna discuss in this platform 17 different issues that we had before the virus even jumped off. We're going to discuss the issues, the concerns with an institution that said they was going to make our children standouts. Even before the virus, and what I'm going to show you, even before this happened, they already had a failing grade. And now that people's lives is on the line when it comes to health, how does an institution that was given a health message to be a standout in the midst of a virus, how are they following other individuals and failing when other people who don't have a blueprint and don't have a health message have a plan in place? You was given the plan first in 1830. How does Tyler Perry have this plan in place, and the individuals who was given the blueprints to make people stand out have no plan in place? That's what we're discussing here tonight. That's what we're going to look at and evaluate. And this ain't the Democratic Party. This ain't Congress. This ain't the US government. We not out here talking about nothing. When there's an issue, we fix it and clean house. When there is waste, we take out the trash and then we put back in that which is fruitful. This is not an aimless conversation here. I'm going to show you what the underlying issues and concerns that we have with the institution. I'm going to share the platform with other concerned parents who are on here, and I'm going to let them share their concern. And then I'm going to show you a plan that puts anybody, whether you got students at Oakwood, if you got students elsewhere, anybody who wants to put themselves in this supernatural standout camp quarantine bubble with us, you can. All right. So I'm going to show you, I'm trying to pull it up here so I can share my screen. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So that's the order that we're working in. We're not gonna be here too long. Definitely wanted to put them on record. Put them on record for recruiting our children to come to the school and claiming that they would make them standouts. That's my personal number one issue. And the reason that's my number one issue is because we knew that these days were coming. And when we're talking about this institution, we can talk about this institution, and what we can do when we're talking and rebuking this institution is we can bring in biblical prophecy like the third angel's message. Why can we bring that to the table with this university and it doesn't apply to any other university? Because no other university out here is from the Nubian family, people of color in the United States of America that have the third angel's message. There's no other there's no other Christian church, there's no other anywhere on the planet who even touches on Revelation 14. They don't touch it. No one in the world touches it. But this institution was built on Revelation 14. There is no Oakwood University without Revelation 14. There is no Oakwood University without a three angels message. There is no Seventh-day Adventist church. They don't listen. If they are in a Seventh-day Adventist church and they talking to you about anything and they're not talking to you about a three angels message, they're a fraud. They're an imposter. The three angels message rebukes everything that you see here today. It rebukes the Pope Francis agenda coming from the Vatican to use climate change to force people to worship the way Roman Catholicism made the whole world worship under them in the Dark Ages. That is Pope Francis's number one aim, number one goal, and that is what he's going to implement. And Revelation 14 was given to pastors, was given to people in the United States of America exclusively to warn the world when this entity rose in this time, to warn the whole world when you see this entity trying to put in the same system that they had in the Dark Ages, warn the whole world to separate themselves from it totally, walk away from it, rebuke them, because that is the counterfeit Antichrist. Nobody else embraces that. We send our children down there to be taught that, to be taught how to separate themselves from the counterfeit Antichrist. Listen, there's no other reason to send your children to Oakwood. There's no other reason that we send our children to Oakwood, but to be able to be a standout, to stand out from everybody else who is being taught to worship a counterfeit Antichrist spiritual system. Revelation 14. Our ancestors have preached it all around the world since 1830. And now we got clowns out here. who number one ain't teaching Revelation 14. They ain't teaching our children how to be physical health and wellness standouts. So are they relevant at all? Listen, what is the difference between Pollard and the president of Howard? And if everybody's answer is there is no different, then when we leave here, the only goal is every person who is like Pollard and stands with Pollard, they got to go. That's the only reason why we're here. We're not here to talk about nothing. We're not here to play no games. David was anointed to rid the people of Saul's idolatry, and he cleaned the nation. God don't play around with these people who play around with him. You don't have to settle for that. In your spiritual relationship with the King of Kings for your family, you do not have to settle for people playing around with God. Every time people do that, God chooses a ram in the thicket to come and clean house. And then God deals with that imposter separately. They will meet their fate. But they will not drag our children, our wives, and grandparents and mothers and fathers' hopes and dreams and the investment that they put in these children. They will not drag these children down with their imposter, counterfeit lifestyles, goals, agendas, plans. Listen, they got to go. I'm speaking for myself and my wife. I can't speak for no other parents on here. I'm gonna let the other parents tell you what their stance is. I'm just letting you know based on my grandmother and grandfather who put everything on the line to put my father and mother through Oakwood University. And then when I was going down there, they had specific instructions about how me and my wife were supposed to order our lives to honor our grandparents. And then my parents had specific instructions for how we were supposed to order our lives and their grandchildren's lives when we sent them back to that institution. And now that their grandchildren are there, we got listen, I am custodian of 4 generations, hopes, desires, dreams, goals, aspirations of getting their babies, these grandchildren, to the kingdom. And there is no power on earth. There is no human being. There is no administration. There is no board. There is no, listen, they can't hide behind nothing. Oakwood doesn't have anything that these individuals can hide behind. You don't have a board. You don't have, listen, you can't hide behind the North American division. You can't hide behind the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. You can't hide behind the Pope. You can't hide behind the United Nations. And you cannot hide behind DC and 1600 and the federal government. You can't hide behind Donald Trump. You can't hide behind Satan and the 1/3 that was cast out. There's no place to hide. There's no place to hide. The only thing individuals a part of this administration can do is humble yourself. Like the rich young ruler was told to humble himself. And all of the corruption that you did to put yourself as the president of Oakwood University. You ask what you must do to be saved, rich young ruler. Let me tell you, All of that corruption that you did, all of them backdoor deals that you did, Pollard administration, give up every dime that you made off of the backdoor deals. What must you do to be saved? This is a salvific issue. This has everything to do with whether or not you and your family will get to the kingdom, just as Achan, when God commanded him and them to go and destroy Jericho and don't take nothing from Jericho because it's all tarnished. God told this administration to go down there and serve his flock and don't take nothing from the Trump administration. Don't take nothing from the federal government. Don't take nothing from the United Negro College Fund. Don't take nothing from the NAACP. Don't take nothing from. How dare you join yourself with an HSBC? How dare you run around here and make shirts talking about you at HSBCU? How dare you? How dare you go and bow down and worship to the golden calf? You know what? What must you do to be saved? Every single jersey that you made in that lab, burn it. Every single shirt and jersey that you say got a HSBCU, and that little shop that you built over there on the corner, listen, pop it off and sell it. And give it to these parents and these families that you've robbed, that you got paying $40,000 a year, struggling, trying to listen, go pop everything that you invested in that's been tarnished by the backhand deals that you've done with the Space and Rocket Center, with the Redstone Arsenal, with Alabama A&M, with Oprah Winfrey and her fake married couples of Huntsville. Every backdoor deal that you did with Irvin Magic Johnson, and let him and his Luciferian wife Cookie build a basketball monument with $500,000 next to a building that is supposed to honor E.E. Cleveland, next to a building that is supposed to honor Bradford. Magic Johnson and Cookie Johnson. Magic Johnson, the #1 prostitute of the LA Lakers. The #1 male prostitute of the LA Lakers in Los Angeles. Do y'all know who Magic Johnson is? In the city of the fallen angels, do y'all know who Magic Johnson is? Oh, we know. They know too. And because they cut from the same cloth. Because they part of the same tarnished. You got the decision to decide whether or not it is okay to allow your child to be initiated and dragged down into the muck and mire of that lifestyle with them. That's the choice that you, as a concerned parent, have to decide. You have to decide if you're willing to throw your pearls to the swine. That's your only decision here today. It's cut and dry. All right. First, this is the first evidence of what I'm talking about. First little bit of history.
Joining us. During this week in 1909, A.A. Carscallen reported his progress spreading the gospel in Kenya to Adventist Review readers. Writing of the
First of all, I don't want y'all to get deceived. Understand, in what do you say, 1909?
his progress spreading the gospel in Kenya, A.A. Carscallon reported his during this week in 1909.
So remember, I told you a North American free individual who looked just like me. The Most High God came to a man named William Ford, not an A.A. Carscallon, not a European. This is very important. This is very, very important. And understand, this is Jacob stealing Esau's birthright. And the only difference between this theft is Esau didn't care nothing about the birthright when it was given to him. But William Ford not only faithfully took the 3 visions, but these individuals up until probably like 2010, the Seventh-day Adventist Church lied and said William Ford rejected the visions this young man's father wrote a book in like 2010. So from 1830, the Europeans who incorporated the Seventh-day Adventist Church, they purposely lied and said 2 men rejected the gospel and this woman embraced it, and then they incorporated and stole the platform and took the credit so that they can go around the world as the custodians of Bible prophecy and teaching that nobody else had nowhere in the world. That is Jacob stealing Esau's birthright. The only difference here is Esau didn't care nothing about his birthright. He sold it for a pot of lentils. They didn't even give our ancestor William Ford nothing for stealing credit. They lied on him and said he rejected the gospel, and then this man's father in like 2000 wrote a book, The Unknown Prophet. So you have a history where these individuals have gone around and claimed that they took a gospel to the world, when it was a gentleman by the name of William Ford who went all around North America. And if it wasn't for him going and preaching in North America, the woman Ellen White that they credit with starting the church, she never would have gotten the revelation that there was going to be a disappointment in 1844. And because this early pioneer, Nubian Cushite, had warned her that God had revealed his second coming, and he told her, this is not, 1844 is not, the signs of the times have not been fulfilled that I saw in my dream. So y'all run around here in that Millerite movement telling people to sell their property because the second coming, based off of a prophecy that you learned, the 2300-day prophecy, he told her in the 1840s, listen, I received the 3 visions of the second coming, and the signs of the times that I saw in the vision are not 1844. And when He was right, and this church that stole his birthright was wrong. She remembered and then returned to check the prophecies that she was studying based off of the guidance of what he had said, or for the 2-second come. Listen, the name Advent comes from that man's 3 visions of the second advent of the Messiah. Second coming. Advent means second coming. So the man who had the revelations about the Advent was lied on so that they could go around the world and claim that they took the gospel. So when you look at it from that standpoint, anybody in this day and age following these individuals because they want to take credit for something that is not theirs, you're always going to be out of alignment and out of pocket.
A.A. Carscallen reported his progress spreading the gospel in Kenya to Adventist Review readers, writing of the considerable challenges he faced. In 7 words, he stated his reason for leaving America to pioneer the work in Kenya. The real need here is the gospel. Born in Ontario, Canada in 1879, Arthur Asa Carscallen was baptized into the Adventist Church at 20, and upon receiving ministerial training at Union and Newbold, accepted a call to start the work in Kenya. With his new bride, Helen Thompson, and a Malawian named Peter Nyambo, his classmate at Newbold, the 3 left.
And a what? And a what? Another Nubian from Malawi. So let me tell you who is the leader of the expedition. Peter Nyambo from Malawi is the leader of the expedition. A.A. Carscallen and G. Sanders can't do nothing in Kenya when they had a southern work in Mississippi and Alabama that these individuals abandoned. The work is going forward in Kenya because the Most High God is sending his 3 angels' message and his final messages to his people on the continent that the European has just carved up in 1884. European presence in Africa after 1885 European presence in Africa after 1885 is one of exploitation. I don't care what work they try and get them credit for. We got the fruit and the record. And when in 1888, the plea went out for them to go into the Mississippi River, they all said, we got black codes over here. We're segregating this church and we not worshiping with them. In 1888, they made it corporation bylaws. So in 1809, they're not going to turn around and get credit for going into Africa. You know why they want to go into Africa? Because all of the rest of Europe is going into Africa. Bismarck has just had a conference and all of Europe has carved up Africa. But because the word did go forth in Africa, you know whose family is going to respond to this call? I'm just trying to make sure that the Nubians who are present get credit for doing what we have always done. Nobody has ever told this story. Oakwood University has done what it has done, not because of Europeans, despite the bigotry and the black codes and the racism of these Europeans. At the same time, they will not go into the South. The only people who are in the South is Ellen White and her son on a boat, because everybody in the South is enforcing the black codes on land. And all of the Seventh-day Adventists in Battle Creek, Michigan, agree with the black codes, and they say in 1888, we are not doing the Southern work, and we will not worship with those people of color. It's in their bylaws in 1888. So in 1909, why are they going into Africa? There's money to be made in Africa. It's time to collect in Africa. Huh? If the Germans in them is getting the diamonds, if the De Beers is getting the gold, we gonna go and get the tithe. But if we had a genuine love for people of color, we would be in the South. But the Germans ain't in the South. We just had the Emancipation Proclamation in the South. We're not interested in doing the work down there. We don't even want to put churches down there. We want to go over here to Africa, to this untapped continent with all of these resources. And if they're going to build colonies in Africa, we're going to collect the tithe.
For East Africa in late 1906. Carscallen was a superintendent of the British East Africa Mission for 13 years. During that time, he, Helen, and Nyambo were instrumental in establishing numerous mission stations, health clinics, schools, printing presses, and churches throughout the region. Impressively, Carscallen mastered the Luo language, becoming the first to write it. He published the only grammar textbook and dictionary in the Luo tongue at the time, and translated portions of the New Testament. One individual Carscallen won to Adventism was Onyango Obama from Kendu Bay on the shore of Lake Victoria. 9 years old at the time the Carscallens arrived, Onyango attended Adventist boarding school, and later much of his family followed his lead and became Seventh-day Adventist Christians. To this day, many of the Obama family members are Seventh-day Adventists. By the way, Onyango Obama was the grandfather of the 44th President of the United States of America, Barack Obama. And that was this week in Adventist history.
So that's a documented rich history. But we got to give credit to where credit is due. And we got to learn from history too. So we're going to pull up this document. We're going to pull up a document that concerned parents at Oakwood circulated. And If you want to unmute yourself, I'm going to show the screen and you can go ahead and comment on these points and talk about some of the issues that the parents that have come to you and spoken to you have asked you to voice on their behalf, and just go over the document and go over some of the concerns in the past and the new concerns about the virus that's going on, and the handling of our children at the time of a pandemic, and our lackluster response in protecting such a precious and valuable resource and asset. So I'm gonna turn, now that I have my turn, I'm gonna turn the time over to you. You can unmute yourself and I'm gonna share the screen and you can go ahead and share with the people what the parents have shared with you about this document.
Okay. I did receive this document of information, and I thought it was interesting as a concerned parent. One of my main issues with this is that we're doing a lot of other projects that seem to be flourishing on campus, while certain areas on our campus that we are known for in the science department, particularly the biology department, the music department, and the education department, for the first 2 years of my son's matriculation, there have been condemned, dilapidated, mold infested. It's now, just now this year, where my son gets to go into the biology department for the first time since 2018, and he's a pre-med student. So I feel like a lot of his education quality suffered while he still is responsible for an excess of $30,000 a year annually to matriculate and do well at school. And he's done very well despite all of this. And of course, nobody could predict that the COVID-19 pandemic would hit our campus as it has. So the other concern my son and some other students had was, one, they did get some people, not everybody, some people did get the COVID-19 CARES Act stimulus, so a check or some amount of money to help offset what occurred. You know, that's a nationwide gift to those students. Well, the school got a certain amount, and the students are supposed to get 50% of that certain amount. It's still up in the air what exact amount they got and how many students they distributed.
One second. I just want to be clear, just in case there's some people watching who aren't sure what the CARES Act. So a part of the stimulus that the federal government rolled out in response to the pandemic, they set aside funds for institutions to be able to get stimulus to help with tuition costs and all of that.
So no, it's not to go towards tuition costs.
Okay, clarify. Thank you.
For the students themselves, and it was specifically spelled out in that it's not to go towards tuition. It's to go directly to the students.
Perfect. I just wanted to clarify, so just in case they didn't know what they were.
Their right to apply it to their tuition, but it's not to go from the school towards their tuition.
I understand. Okay. So go ahead. Continue.
So there was a survey done online by another student where they were asking, how many students received any portion of that stimulus package. Some of them. Now, the questionnaire was kind of lengthy that they had to do. It was like 7 or 8 points they had to qualify for in order to get what they categorized as the maximum per category, which was 3,500 according to what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
But in the final analysis, they most of the students received about $600, right at $600. A few got a little more than $600, and some more got less than $600, and some still have not received any. So at the last parent portal, when we got to talk to the faculty and staff, including President Pollard, they mentioned that a part of that CARES Act was appropriated for their PPE kit. And they went on to talk about, how the PPE kit would be utilized to clean surfaces as they move from classroom to classroom and in their dorms and areas like that, so that they would be responsible for cleaning and sanitizing their areas as they move to and fro on campus. Now, prior to that, an algorithm was given for safety on campus during the COVID pandemic. And one of the things that stood out was that they had a hybrid flex concept where some students will be in class, particularly when it comes to labs, because a lot of our parents were concerned at how they were going to do labs, because labs are important to medical, pre-med and biology and chemistry and research.
Absolutely.
So we were very concerned, and we had to kind of keep tapping in for them to answer those questions for us. But finally they said, well, there's different roles that the faculty plays with establishing how they're supposed to be in labs. So one way is the HyperFlex program, which I understand to be, they split the class into 3 parts for the lab. And on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, each section is appointed one of those days to be in class. And then the other 2 days they're online. So
Okay.
that's what the biology department and some other the science departments came up with, and we were satisfied with that. One part though I wasn't satisfied with was the presentation for how to get the students back into the process of being with each other, where with possible outside students that are not on campus coming into campus and mingling on campus with the students that are going to class that are on campus. So the concept is, how do you protect students on campus from outside, influence of COVID-19, and how do you protect both sides, both types of students from getting COVID-19? And as we know that on the news, unfortunately, one or few students have tested positive for COVID-19. It made news. And so they did some quarantine processes for that. But what wasn't clear is how to safely transition them on campus. And we were not allowed to ask questions of the presenter either. And there was, I was a little taken back because in our community, we have so many doctors that are also parents that would be eager to share and help us with understanding this COVID-19 process and how to stay healthy on campuses. Other campuses have utilized guidelines from the CDC. I know my good friend, Dr. Brown, is very versed in this area. And Kim, also being a product of Oakwood, a college university, and the academy, I think he would have been a great resource, as well as even our own staff that in the science departments that could have, particularly Dr. Vanderpool, who that's her background. So I mean, I was kind of worried that they did not have a presentation from someone that is qualified to speak and answer questions after, because there was a lot of concern. So going back to the CARES Act concept, there was money set aside for the students that were already in place starting in March. But then there was also something set aside for students coming in as freshmen to Oakwood University. And they call that the CARE Scholarship. Now, in the presentation done by the president and the other faculty and staff, we were told as parents that in order to access that scholarship, your student must be on campus. There was no other option in order to get that scholarship. So one parent did ask, what if you're concerned about your student contracting COVID-19 and you want to exercise your right to stay at home and utilize the online process? Well, they said in order to access the CARES scholarship, you have to be on campus. That was very concerning because
Absolutely.
once the freshmen and some other students came on campus, besides the positive COVID testing for some of the students that are there on campus, we learned that the air condition in the men's dorm on what certain levels wasn't working properly and sometimes not at all. And when you have a pandemic of this magnitude, circulating air is of paramount importance. In fact, some places have in place in dorms where there is a HEPA filter ventilation system that circulates the area and the air every 1 to 2 hours so that they can keep keep the numbers from contracting COVID-19 down. So that was another concern we're having. And then the last thing I want to talk about is that many of the other schools have decided to allow the students to do online classes for a lot of them without making it mandatory to come in. And we were told that there will be a 2-week mandatory quarantine in your dorm room. Upon getting on campus, that has not taken place. And on top of that, there's no break on the tuition discount, even though the educational quality has come down tremendously since this. And that, of course, it's nobody's fault, but there needs to be some type of adjustments. So one question was asked, is the tuition still going to be the same amount, or are we going to get some kind of adjustment or discounts or some kind of help? And particularly a lot of families are hurting during this time and might have a difficult time struggling. A lot of the seniors too are having difficult time getting cleared so they can finish out their matriculation. So the students were told, well, no, tuition is tuition and there's not going to be any change there. And some parents had a concern for that because everybody is hurting. Yeah. So to catch up on the PPE that is available, the kit that they talked about would be available to our students once they came on campus. It came a lot later than they expected. They were supposed to arrive there and be able to have that, but they told us it wasn't going to be available for, I guess, another week or so. So when they did receive it, my son showed me what it was, and I sent that tidbit to you. It was an Oakwood University mask and a set of wipes in the back, and that was the extent of the PPE.
None of the stuff that they promised that you could go and wipe down surfaces, or is that what they claim that the wipes were supposed to do?
Well, they didn't tell us what would be in the kit, but I assume that's what it's for. That it came as the PPE kit.
And so let me say this, because I extensively have researched the response that our people in West Africa did to Ebola.
Yeah.
And when you see the response of those who are truly concerned about stopping and shutting down the pandemic, everybody had these pumper spray type dispensers that had some type of bleach type solution chemical that would kill surface disease on surface contact. And everywhere they went, they were spraying down. So when I heard them say that the young people would be given supplies to be able to clean the surface areas. This is supposed to be the greatest country on earth, right?
Yes.
So if West Africa came up with a solution, I'm imagining that those who are serious about the lives here, especially at Oakwood University, it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, but I'm thinking that they're gonna be serious, and so when the PPEs come, there's gonna be some type of solution. It might not have to be a big bulky thing, but they're gonna have some type of way that our children can neutralize the contact surface area. If they can have something in West Africa,
yeah, then
by all means, in Huntsville, Alabama, which is supposed to be the engineering capital of I'm like, it's just so underwhelming, and it's just so unacceptable that it's just I cannot believe.
Well, if I may say so,
Yes.
This is the PPE kit that in that session, the parent portal session, when we got to ask questions, this is what they said. They used a portion of the CARES Act funds. And so it wasn't an exercise of the students' will to use it unless they use their side.
Oh no, I know it's the administration, but I mean, that mask and those wipes couldn't have been more than $15. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that's that. This was in answer to why some people were asking about the CARES Act fund.
Right.
So that was in, I feel like, was a form of justification for the amounts that were distributed to the students, where we thought it was meager and lacking. Now, the categories specifically were asking about the needs, like a lot of them had to get laptops, whereas they didn't have that before in order to complete their spring semester online.
Right.
So the cost of these laptops far exceeded what they received as a compensation. And this, and that was also just a disheartening measure in and of itself. And then just to switch gears just a little bit.
Sure.
We do have also the students from the Alabama Cyber Technology School did become a part of our campus as well.
Okay.
So on top of what we have as the dynamic, we have some students that are on campus that are college students. They're helping to be RAs for these younger students that are 13, 14, and 15-year-olds that are staying in the annex, as far as I know, the annex section of the campus there. And so to throw it all in the basket with the pandemic and all of that, I feel like it's a bit much for the information we've received so far. And it's concerning. Their safety is concerning. The health and safety is very concerning. The quality of their education is a big concern. The administration and their lack of the cavalierness and how they're handling something so global is also just is very concerning. And so that's why I'm a concerned parent. I mean, that there's other concerned parents that are with us and express that they may look at this later or come on later to hear what we're talking about. But there's a very deep concern I have for how our children are being.
The beautiful thing about this is going directly to the YouTube channel. So I'm going to be able to send you the link to this, and we can send it out to everybody. It's a YouTube video, so we can send it out to all of the parents, and we can invite them to come right back next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. I'm already going to lock in my schedule. We could use this as just a template to get the word out. But what I'm going to do, if you don't have, do you have anything else you wanted to share?
No, I'm done. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity,
Oh,
Damon.
absolutely. No, I appreciate all of you parents. I appreciate every single parent that contributed to this list, that contributed and responded. There's a parent that is not on here that was that I was with last week, and I'm just going to share her concerns for her freshman. And I'm going to send this link out, and I'm going to invite her to come on next week and voice her own concerns. But the fact that they're telling individuals that because they took the money, they had to be physically on campus. And then for them to introduce other outside individuals in a separate school, then have our individuals have to interact with these other individuals when every other organization that has taken a serious approach, they've sat down. I'm going to show you 2 examples. They created a bubble. So not to take risks with the lives of the people who are coming and going to either whatever they're going to do inside the bubble, they made sure that everybody before they came to the bubble quarantined, was tested. And so for them to have individuals on that campus eating where our children eat, and they haven't asked anybody to quarantine, to test, they have not. And then when you tell people who've taken money that they have to be on campus, if you left it optional to where my children could stay up and do it online, it didn't matter what you did with that campus, to tell you the truth. But when you tell my children, because they took the CARES Act, they have to be there, then you are responsible to make sure that you have taken every step possible to ensure that the children that you say have to be there are protected. Your number one priority are the children that took the CARES Act that you offered to protect them. And so then, listen, they told these parents, their child is a freshman, that if coronavirus broke out, then the people would be moved to the annex to quarantine. How can you move people to the annex to quarantine if the virus breaks out in the dorm when you've let some high school students stay in the annex? And you knew when you told the parents having their freshmen come down, because that's what made the people comfortable with sending they like, oh, they got a plan. So if the virus breaks out on campus in the dorms, they said that they would move the students from the dorm where the virus broke out at to the annex and quarantine the people in the annex. And that did not happen. They quarantined this young girl's, this lady's family member in the dorm where the virus broke out at. So now their child is away from them down at Oakwood University. Oakwood has said one thing and is doing another. And the reason they're doing another is because they have a whole nother group in the annex, and they knew they was going to have this group in the annex a year ago when they cut the cords and did this whole celebration. So when you're misleading parents to be confident when they have apprehension about sending their freshmen to you, and then you appease them by telling them, oh, we got a plan, we're going to move them over here to the annex, when you never had any intentions of doing that, to me, that's a major violation. That's a major violation. So I am going to give that family an opportunity, because I'm going to send them the link to this. to tell their own story. And other parents need to know that for some reason, and it's our job as parent. My son is a senior. I'm speaking as a concerned parent directly. So for some reason, we need to get to the bottom of why they feel comfortable saying one thing and allowing us to put our confidence in them to send our children back to them without putting the steps in place to protect them properly. And if we need an example of how individuals are taking steps to protect people, let's look at some examples of how other individuals are going out of their way to protect their people. So this is Tyler Perry Studios, okay? So we're gonna compare their preparation and their process, and we're gonna compare it to Oakwood. All right, this is Tyler Perry Studios.
Announced that his studio would resume production. He's got a 30-page plan for keeping the cast and crew safe from the coronavirus. Now, it is among the first.
Okay, point number one, 30-page plan. 30-page plan to do what? Keep the cast and the staff safe. Okay, point number one.
Studios in the country to reopen after the entire industry came to a halt amid this pandemic. So first on CBS This Morning, he let us go behind the scenes to take a look at the sprawling is the word, Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta, to see how safety is being made a priority on his set.
Delta and Echo, Mark.
Point number two, safety is the priority. So when we look at what Oakwood has done, we can safely say that safety is not a priority. I'm just pointing out some points as a concerned parent.
Tyler Perry has very ambitious plans to film the new seasons on his 4 TV shows, all while keeping the 360 people on his production team safe from coronavirus. He's calling it Camp Quarantine.
Let's go get this. All right.
All cast and crew are required to live on site for each 2-week production. And to limit exposure, Perry is flying in actors from LA and New York on private flights. Wearing a mask and social distancing are strictly enforced.
So, people coming in from all over the country, but what? They're all doing the same uniform thing. They're all quarantining before they're quarantining in their travel. When they arrive, they're all masked up, they're all quarantining, and they're all social distancing. Why? Because Tyler Perry knows, and everybody knows, that if you go through the period and you can demonstrate that you've gone through the time that it takes for the virus to reveal itself, as long as you hunker down in that period, you're safe once you get out of that period. So every institute, Oakwood, could have taken precautions in the middle of July and had all of their students on the same exact agenda. Anybody coming to the campus, anybody who coming anywhere near this thing, if you were enrolled, you already know who's enrolled. You got, just like he knows who's coming to act. There's no reason not to be at this level or greater.
Everybody social distancing, hand sanitizing, 6 feet.
and medical staff test everyone every 3 to 4 days.
Has your son been tested? Have they tested anybody on Oakwood? Are they testing regular? Do you know? That's a question I want to find out. I want to find out from our community, from our parents, from our students. I want to know, especially if the campus is open, are they testing? Especially if they have individuals at a second school. Are they testing the teachers at that school? Are they testing the children? Do the children go home? Are they on campus the whole time? Are they on campus and then off campus? Are they interacting with other individuals who are not quarantining and not? How are we taking chances with individuals with an open campus and our children are down there? These are all questions that when we send this video out, if you get on here next week, if they don't have an adequate answer to these questions, we have to put our own plan in place to clean house and secure. That is our right and obligation as parents of these children. No institution can take a chance with my child's life. They are subordinate in every way, shape, or form based off of what goes on in that campus, because there is no campus without the student body. Now, they may try and make you believe that the administration is of utmost importance. They may make you, but listen, there has never been an Oakwood University without a student body. So, if this current administration cannot come up to the bar in the next 90 days, they don't have the whole semester. They don't have a whole year. Why? Because children's lives are at stake. Next week, in the next 2 weeks, with the open campus, we could have 20 deaths. We just buried Harold Trawick and his father 1 week apart. My people's in New Jersey. The son died Friday. The next week, the father died. And so just because it's only 1 or 2 cases right now, which one of us is prepared to gamble with our children next week or the week after? They don't have. They don't, listen, I got too many nieces and nephews and listen, I got too many of my people's loved ones whose children is down there. And we not taking no chances with not near one of these children's lives. Y'all are not that important. I don't know why this administration think they that important.
The media mogul even constructed new buildings on his Atlanta lot to provide housing on site, with perks like food trucks and movie nights to keep spirits high. All the work and planning paid off.
This is our second round of testing, no positives.
Perry wrapped his production ahead of schedule, with cast and crew walking off his lot testing negative for COVID-19. And he plans on doing it all over again when the next production team arrives at Camp Quarantine. Tyler Perry.
So they have a cycle. They have a cycle. Well, Jeremiah 29:11 says, I know the plan that I have for you, a plan to prosper you, give you hope in the future. Somewhere else it says, beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper, be in health, even as your soul prospers. It's no way that Tyler Perry, who is not connected to the word of God, can put a plan in place to prosper. And these individuals claiming that they are the remnant of God have no plan. That doesn't add up. It does not add up. Deuteronomy 28 is the greatest promise of God's blessings for his faithful. It's not a blanket promise to everybody, because 1 through 12 is the promise to the faithful, and 13 through the bottom of Deuteronomy 28 are the curses to the unfaithful. And we have a world of unfaithful, not connected to God's covenant, who live under the bottom half, the curses, who are running around here as if they are the blessed. And the people claiming to be the faithful, and Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 12 says, you will be the head and not the tail. Because there's a narrative that you're going to see in all of these that have a bubble. The narrative of all of these that have a bubble is it takes money. What they're trying to say is, and what Oakwood is trying to say is, we don't have the money to be able to listen. If you don't have the money, if you don't have the money as the remnant of God, it's because you're not under the blessings of God. We would accept that from any other school or any other administration. Alabama A&M, they can use that excuse. Oakwood University, you can't use that excuse. Leslie Pollard cannot get in my pulpit and preach to my son and talk to my son about Caitlin is coming. Leslie, get up there and preach to my son about Deuteronomy 28. You will be the head and not the tail. I'm going to show you that we are the head and not the tail. Tyler Perry can't lead us in nothing. Preach to us about that. You know what? The greatest sermon is one that's lived. Don't preach to us about nothing. Show us Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 12. The head, not the tail. Lend and not borrow. And you know what? You got 90 days to do it. Because if you can't do it, we got the plan. I challenge any parent. I challenge any parent who wants what I'm talking about. I dare you to join I'm in a quarantine right now. I had to take a daughter to another institution. And the difference between the other institution in Oakwood is this. Every building has brand new HEPA air filters, just like you talked about. Every building. Every building. They weren't there last year. They weren't there last year. When a coronavirus popped up and the federal government told everybody to send your children home because they could potentially die if they're not social distancing. So our people at the other institution put a plan in place and people stepped up and invested. Tyler Perry ain't the only one creating bubbles. Tyler Perry ain't the only one who got money. In every single dorm room, there is something called an air angel. It wasn't there in the dorm rooms last year. When I dropped my daughter off, it wasn't no going into the buildings. We had to sit in the car like a drive up at McDonald's. Every family that had quarantined for 14 days before coming to the institution, had to maintain the quarantine all through registration, all through enrollment, all through checking into the dorm. Ain't no crowding, ain't no hugging. These is individuals that taught me. These is the same teachers that raised me. I ain't hug a teacher. I ain't shake nobody's hand. These is people who made me who I am. And because I had put myself in a quarantine and my daughter, I didn't hug not one of the teachers. My classmates is up there teaching this is individuals that I went to school with every day. I socialize with every day. And because our children's lives are more important, we saw each other. And even though I wanted to, listen, I know that I could take 21 days or 30 days and not socialize so that we can prove to the world that this group in this bubble is not affected by the virus. And then we can hug all we want. Why? Because number one, we closed off of the campus. Ain't nobody coming onto that campus. Nobody. We had to choose which parent was going to go. Not even both parents could come. We chose that we was going to send me. So I had to set up the room. I had to get the uniform. I had to do everything. Then when they got into the bubble, for 14 more days, 2 more weeks, the only person that they can even take their mask off in the presence of is their direct roommate. They can't be without a mask for the whole 2 weeks in the presence of nobody else except their roommate. That's called making the lives of the children a priority. And then when you're in the room, you got an air filter. That's one insurance policy. Downstairs in the basement, you got a HEPA air filter sucking out the bad air. That's the second insurance policy. The third insurance policy is the additional quarantine once you're there. The fourth insurance policy is nobody can come to this campus. Ain't nobody ordering pizza. Ain't nobody, listen, ain't nobody visiting. Ain't no home leaves. Ain't nobody dropping off nothing. Ain't nobody nothing. But what's going to happen after the 2 weeks is over? Can't nobody say nothing about none of the students, none of the faculty, none of the nothing. We all know they getting tested listen, they temperatures, they tested, listen, they getting tested, they checking temperatures. We all know that the whole student body and all their faculty members don't have the virus. So then we have all proved none of us have the virus. Now we could socialize however we want. Now we can have a regular school year and not even question. Why? Because no outsiders are coming into the bubble. And everybody in the bubble has already proved that we are virus free. The faculty and staff, even the people, even the adults from the community that worship in the church, they are worshiping in a separate facility just not to bring the outside community into the bubble. What Oakwood is doing is disrespectful. What Leslie Pollard and every faculty member at Oakwood is doing is disrespectful. And to have access to doctors in that community, and to not bring the doctors in, to let the doctors come up with the 30-page plan. Tyler Perry ain't no doctor. You got access to doctors. Oakwood is known for its nursing program. How does Oakwood, being known for nursing, allow somebody who don't have a background in nursing or medicine come up with a ragtag, raggedy plan, that's because there are individuals at Oakwood that have a separate agenda. And their agenda is not aligned with these parents, with these students, or with the everlasting gospel. And I said it. So we're going to send this out to every parent, every student who want to do something, who want to create a bubble. And then I'm reaching out into the same circles. And we personally, when I say we, I'm talking about me and my wife and my organization and the resources that we've collected over the years. We personally are going to put in place the financial apparatus endowment fund to put in the necessary investment to create the bubble. All our people got to do is commit to making a priority out of the lives of your students, like this other institution has done for my baby girl. And I salute Pond Forge Academy. I salute Pond Forge Academy. For what? Letting the world know that Tyler Perry is not the head. Letting the world know that it's still individuals who was given this health message who are still invested in building the kingdom, which are the young people. One other thing, and then I'm gonna wrap it up and let y'all go. This is of the utmost importance.
Stop. Did you know every time you shop on Amazon, you're helping someone make passive income? Yes, you could be helping someone like me, a dude in my 20s, make
I know you don't like it. Yeah, welcome back, y'all. Welcome back.
Hopefully this is enough. Oh God. For those that don't know, part of my job as being a rookie is getting Chick-fil-A for all the players on the plane. And even in a state of pandemic, that job still stands. What do I do with all the food?
You need help?
No. Yep. No. Oh my God.
You can get on any bus.
I can choose?
Yeah, as long as there's 18 on each bus.
Which bus is to buy some?
As long as there's 18 on each bus. This is another plan that's in place. If the institution that your children are going to school at, I don't even care. I don't care if your children are at public school. If your children are in elementary, middle school, high school, and all over the country, they disrespecting you just like this, just like Oakwood, all across the country, and you're being tested. You're being tested. See, they are making a statement to you of what is of value in the USA. That's what this statement is making. Tyler Perry and his content with Oprah Winfrey on OWN and BET, they're telling you in our community the things that have value. If the students at Oakwood were of value and a priority, then the first people that they would have collaborated with is the phenomenal doctors and nurses in the community there who also have their students there who would have put together the most effective. Listen, by their fruit ye shall know them. They're making a statement and it demands a response. Every parent, you are being challenged to make a response and stand up for your child. We've already decided what our response is going to be. And we're trying to let y'all know that you have options. You don't just have to accept what they're giving you. So the NBA is saying they raggedy slave man league is valuable. So they're going to do what it, yes, you heard me. Modern day slavery, how they robbing these dudes. Modern day plantation, how these billionaire owners got these impoverished dudes from inner city communities who never learned financial literacy, never learned nothing. So when a pandemic popped up, everybody who showed up here, they here because they financially, they couldn't have weathered a whole season without no income. In the NBA, you do not get paid if you're not on the court. Everybody who is here because financially, if they did not play, Sports Illustrated did an article on them years ago. 3 years after leaving the NBA, 80% of these dudes is broke and bankrupt 3 years after they leave the league. Why? Because when the check stops, these billionaire owners never give them a foundation of financial literacy. This is identical to people going to Oakwood trying to get a spiritual foundation and coming there, and the faculty got a different agenda. So the people who come there to be made whole spiritually are never given a base, but the faculty's raking in they monster salaries. They getting paid anyway. The billionaires and millionaires, they get paid no matter what product they put on the thing. So they don't care. Listen, you here today, you're gone tomorrow. I'm going to get another 4 or 5 just like you. And because their stream of income is what's important to them, they are putting a bubble together for individuals that they don't even care nothing about. They could care less about the lives of these individuals. But they know that they can't put the product out there and make their money unless they protect this asset while they try and extract resources from it. And this entity got enough sense when they don't care nothing about not one of these individuals to put a plan in place to protect them. And this school has made a promise that your kids will enter to learn and depart to serve. And they don't have no plan? Parents, I say they got 90 days.
On which bus? I haven't seen him yet.
Oh, he's late.
Philly. Take him back to the plat, man. Gangsta. Middle of the summer. Middle of the summer. G-Town Drive, baby. In the middle of the summer. Middle of the summer.
Thank you.
What it is, I got a social distance. Before you record me, you should ask me if I give you permission.
Can I have permission to record you?
You can record, yeah.
Thank you.
We can't dap each other up. I mean, everybody passed the test, right? Can we at least dap each other up? All right, I'll give you that. With a microphone.
You heard what he said? Everybody passed their test, right? Can we at least just dap each other up? I told you, we wasn't hugging, we wasn't nothing. And they honoring the bubble, and he like, yo, we all passed the test, right? We all know that right now we don't have that don't mean nothing though, till you go through the 14 days. But still, I'm just letting you know. For Oakwood not to put nothing in place and got an open campus and got parents wondering, how do we protect? You can't protect. That's the answer to that. Sis, you asked. We're concerned about having an open campus. You should be concerned about having an open campus, sis. Because there's no way to protect the life of your children with the campus being open. Why? Because there's no way to gauge who they're interacting with once they leave campus and come back to campus. It's no way. It's no way in the world that they got another group of people embedded in with our students. It's no way in the world. There's no way in the world that they could justify. Maybe last year when they was planning. But for them to move ahead with this and have an open campus, this is a direct slap in the face telling you they have no concern about the life of your children. And whatever money that they're getting to house that other entity, that is the priority. The money. All you gotta do is follow the money. CARES Act, and you got a raggedy PPE. They took that money and didn't invest that money in the students. Somebody is chopping up that PPP, that money. Somebody somewhere is chopping up some money for housing a science program of high school students. They are telling you, we don't care nothing about your children. We want this bread. And somewhere, when we start digging, you're gonna find the same embezzlement, the same criminal activity that you see in the same arrangement with all of these African nations. When they deal with the Europeans, all of these African nations do their people and the population the same way that Oakwood is behaving when they have taken dirty money, when they have taken dirty money under the table, backroom deals, and when they robbing Peter to pay Paul. We see it all the time with gamblers. We see all the time with drug addicts. If you was raised in the hood, the same way that Pollard and the Oakwood administration are behaving is the same way that hypes in our family behave when they heroin addicts, when they crack addicts, and they got to have a fix. They do not care about the family bond. They will rob you. They will steal from you. They will do whatever they got to do to continue the vice that they've already started. And it's up to parents to stand up and say, we are not going to participate in your personal vice. That don't have nothing to do with me and my child. Whatever price you got on your head, you did that, bro. Whatever dirty money, whatever interest you got to pay back, listen, that don't have nothing to do with me, yo. You're seeing how individuals who aren't beholden to any outside entities, who control their own destiny, you see how they behave. And the fact that Oakwood is behaving the way that they are behaving tells you that individuals have been corrupted, tells you that individuals are not in control of their own destiny. So this tells you that somebody else controls the campus and Pollard and the administration are just figureheads, just like in the White House. Donald Trump is beholden to outside sources. This is why Trump and Pollard are behaving the same way. It doesn't make sense how they behave because Donald Trump, everybody knows his bankruptcy after bankruptcy, his dealings in Atlantic City with dirty money sources. And then those projects collapsed in the 90s. You thought he just got to walk away with taking dirty crime boss money and the Taj Mahal crumbled and all that? Oh, he had to go and run for presidency and get in the office and be a figurehead. And then now all of these individuals are extracting. And he just going out there saying whatever he got to say to cancel his debt. You look at the behavior of Pollard and the Oakwood administration and the Donald Trump administration, and then you look at how Tyler Perry, who obviously ain't beholden to nobody, so he's able to put a plan in place. The Philadelphia 76ers, they billionaire owner, he obviously ain't the NBA is obviously not beholden to anybody. That's why it makes sense what they're doing.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you like that. How long you been back, man? I see the girls in the club, they getting wild.
Whether he's somewhere to here, maybe a tiny bit not, or even. Again, welcome aboard. We'll be moving in probably about 5 minutes.
We about to be in luxury jail for how many? 3 months, right? 3 months. Yeah, yo, look, Tease. You gonna do this? This is your camera. You know, Nick, my man, but he worked with the Sixers. For you, we can make our own documentary. But when we win the chip, our own 30 for 30.
You know what time it is, baby? It's go time.
Yeah, hand sanitizer one time. Hand sanitizer.
This your documentary? Is that what's happening?
That's what this is.
Doug, you know, first and foremost, we want to really just thank you for the sacrifice that you're all making.
Station 236 coronavirus testing, huh? Listen. If this is not what your kids experience, it's because the administration has not done what it's supposed to do with the funds. You have an administration that has not properly managed the funds. They sucked up that CARES Act and rerouted CARES Act funds to cover up another windfall. And so they could not put this system in place with the money that they received. Listen, every institution outside of the money that the students were getting for the CARES Act, listen, do you know how much money institutions got all around the country? Do you know how much money the federal government gave to institutions? It is no way on God's earth that this institution from March to now, you know how many individuals have filled out the SBA loan and gotten trillions of dollars? And you mean to tell me an institution like Oakwood University, if they were above board financially, if they had A1 credit, you mean to tell me Oakwood University couldn't have went to the table legitimately for the right reasons to put a bubble in place? Listen, this only tells you that they mismanaging funds. And when you look around the world at how everybody does this with European people at the expense of our people all across the world. Look at Haiti. Look at Zimbabwe. Look at South Africa. Nelson Mandela over South Africa, and our people is poorer after Nelson Mandela was in than they were when apartheid was in. All over the world, they do our people like this. And y'all should not be, but this is the difference. They may let that slide in South Africa. They may feel like they got to put up with that in Zimbabwe. But see, we know who we are. We know what remnant means. We know what co-heir means. We know how Hezekiah cleaned house. We know how David cleaned house. We know how Joseph was blessed to be able to save the world. We know how Daniel cleaned house. All our people do is clean house. We know how Job cleaned house. We know how Noah cleaned house. They playing with the wrong children. And once you determine that you're going to play on this team, you're going to get the blessings that God has already determined for your children. But if you don't stand up for that birthright, these wolves in sheep's clothing are going to keep giving y'all what they're giving y'all.
So we are working with some of the leading health experts in the world to make this the safest environment that we possibly can.
Oh, hello, Joel.
Can I go to my room now?
Can you get tested?
Yes.
Yes, you can go get your magic band.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I don't shake hands, I do this. But
no, I want to shake your hand. Oh, hug. No, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, I'll walk out with you in a second.
You got your test?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, can I place this on your arm? I'm sure they told you this bracelet just shows that you got tested, so don't take it off yet, okay, until they tell you to.
I'll try not to.
All right, have a good evening.
Thanks.
Listen, all I'm asking is for a group of parents who wants to put this in place. That's all we're looking for. We're looking for a group of parents who are willing to stand up for your child. We're gonna go out and find the bread. All we need is the numbers. That's what this is about. This is an appeal. This is a registration. Yo, we're gonna circulate a list. When y'all respond to this, we just want you to be like, yo, I'm a concerned parent. This is my student. They're a freshman, they're a sophomore, they're a junior, they're whatever. And I want my child to be in the Oakwood, Holywood camp quarantine. And when we put that list together, we're going to approach the powers that be, and we're going to put the necessary teams in place to put the bubble in place. We're not beholden to the current administration. We got plenty of people in our network of Oakwoodites and alumnus. We got plenty of pastors. We got plenty of conference presidents. We got plenty of individuals. Listen, my people's been in this game forever. Every last one of them cats are expendable who have failed our children. And we not accepting nothing less. if somebody else on the world is doing this anywhere and we supposed to be the head, our system that we putting in place for my children and yours gonna be better than this.
This is your magic band, which is this thing. It's the key to your room. Yeah. Inside the bag is your room number. After you get that on, if you want to put it on, if not, you don't have to. Go straight through the exit doors, and they will put you in a cart to get you to your room.
Thank you.
You got it. What's going on, man?
So much. I'll figure out what life is like now out here.
Yeah.
That's right. Perfect. Thank you.
What has to be a
You were voted worst driver in high school. Did you tell anyone that?
Everybody working in the bubble is committed to being in the bubble too. Their income is attached to the league. So by them coming to work, they are agreeing to quarantine as well.
Thank you.
EVE Online is a vast universe, alive with the unrelenting activity and combined.
So we'll save the rest of it for next week or whatever. But y'all get the gist. All right. So that's where we at. In closing, do any of my parents have anything else to say after seeing, is there anything that you want to challenge the other parents to do in closing before I close it out? I just want to give an opportunity just in case my other parents here with us want to say something in closing. This is the opportunity to do that. All right, well, if not, we have a template, we have agenda. This group of parents has done a phenomenal job documenting, has done a phenomenal job pulling parents together, has done a phenomenal job holding the feet to the fire. This group of parents, I want to salute this group who simply reached out to me and was like, listen, man, I know you got a child down here. This is what we seeing. This is what we concerned with. How do you feel? I said, I feel the same way. They said, okay, we're going to send you some points. This is what we seeing on the ground here. We know you way down in Florida. We right here. This is what's going on. Boom, 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 boom. I'm tapping in with my child. I'm tapping in with my nieces and nephews, and they confirming. Boom, boom, boom. Yup, that's what's happening. Boom, boom, boom. This is how we got here. So, working with this group on the ground, working with this group of students, and the history that we had. Both of my parents graduated the class of 1980. My father was magna cum laude. They can't tell me nothing about Oakwood University. My two oldest children was born, consecrated and dedicated in Huntsville, Alabama. Their birthright is Huntsville. My wife and I, we got married in Huntsville, Alabama. We brought my wife's sister down to Huntsville, Alabama, and enrolled her in Oakwood Academy. My older sister, Terry Lynn Leggett, went to Anna Knight Elementary School at Oakwood from 1976 to 1980, when my parents were studying at Oakwood University. You can't tell us nothing about Oakwood University, yo. You can't do what you want to do at Oakwood University. The alumni classes of 1979, the alumni classes of 1978, the alumni classes of 1977, 76, the alumni classes that came after my father and them when they were seniors, the alumni class of 1981, 82, 83. The freshmen when my parents would listen, yo, we connected to from 76 to 83. We talking about the conference presidents all over Adventism. We talking about the #1 evangelists and theologians all over the globe. The #1 conference presidents and conference are the individuals who we called uncle and auntie growing up at Huntsville, Alabama. There ain't a conference president, there ain't a conference office that we can't walk into that we wasn't raised with. Leslie Pollard, yo, you listen, we was right there next to my pops. We not accepting this. He wasn't accepting anything from you then. Why you think we gonna accept anything from you now? We not about to put these cats with a pet. That's what Adventism, y'all got a problem. Y'all got a problem putting these dudes who have not earned the pedestal of being placed on the pedestal. Just because you a pastor, just because you an Adventist pastor, you do not get to be put on a pedestal. By their fruits ye shall know them. Then it's the only way we lived our lives all throughout Adventism. Check our resume anywhere. My pops, my moms, my grandmoms. Listen, my grandmoms left Trenton, New Jersey, left her job. Cause my pops and moms had 2 kids. They came down to Oakwood with 2 kids. My pops was getting straight A's, and my grandma was like, listen, man, you're not gonna drop down to no B. You're not gonna drop down to no C. My grandmother came down, moved in. You don't got the money. Y'all don't got the money to pay for daycare and babysit. Y'all ain't got, my grandmother came down. I'm talking about a whole family has invested in. Whole family sacrifice, whole family say, we don't care what we got to rearrange. We don't care what we got to do. And y'all ain't even willing to put a plan in place to secure your baby's life. We don't get that. Well, I don't understand none of this. The family where I come from, see, that's the problem. Most of y'all probably 3rd and 4th generation Adventism. So y'all got an issue with gratefulness. See, my grandmama knew my father had 16 other first cousins who all got consumed by drug addiction in Trenton, New Jersey. My father and one of his other cousins are the only 2. And the only reason my father, who used to get high, who used to run the streets with the other 16 that became hard drug addicts, praise God, they got delivered later on. But when my father answered a call to ministry and went in a total different direction than his other 16 cousins, my grandmother and my grandfather say, yo, we will do whatever we gotta do. Because he has been delivered from much. And just like the King of Kings said to the Pharisees when they had a comment about Mary Magdalene's worship, he said, you can't say nothing about her ministry. You can't say nothing about her interaction with me. Yo, she could go where she want. She could do what she want. She could say what she want. And can't none of y'all say nothing because she's been delivered from her 7 demons. And ain't none of y'all been delivered from nothing. That was the spiritual leaders of the day. The Sanhedrin and the Pharisees and the Sadducees got rebuked by the King of Kings. Every time, listen, man, anything you see in his life, he is rebuking the spiritual leaders of the day. And you've been trained to respect individuals that aren't worthy of respect. You've been trained to allow individuals who are unworthy of anything other than rebuke. You've been trained to just allow them to do what they want. That may be called Christianity. That is not being called a son of the Most High God, a father. This is a call to do that. All right? So, we're going to get it right this time. We ain't going to send out no codes. Next week, Thursday, 7 p.m., we're going to do it all over again. We want y'all to send this link out to people and invite them to come on. And next week, because we already laid the platform, I'm just going to open it up for other parents to be able to voice their concerns, to look at what we showed in this and show that a bar has been set. And I just want to hear the other parents come on here and declare if you agree that we should have this bubble and pull these resources together and create this environment and quarantine for Oakwood or not. That's what next week is going to be about. It's going to be a platform. You already know how we feel. Now we're going to open it up for other individuals who want to touch and agree and want to add their child's name to the roll. And once we get a certain number, I'm telling you personally, I will personally go to Huntsville, Alabama, pull whatever resources I need to pull out of the Oakwood alumni, out of wherever we need to pull them. Individuals from the NAD, listen, it's not an office in Adventism that we can't pull individuals from to stand with us to get the house clean. I will personally, once we get the names, once we get parents and students, then I'm going to personally commit to sponsoring in honor of my mother who passed in the class of 1980. My mother is no longer here, Beverly Leggett. She passed in 2010. In honor of her class, our family, we already intended in 2020 to do an endowment fund for the alumni class of 1980. And we purposely go on, recruit. If the federal government can give a CARES Act, we're gonna show y'all the no strings attached funding of students that we gonna put through Oakwood University. Full boat, full ride. The only thing that we ask is once our students complete, just like the thing says, enter to learn, depart to serve. When they come out, we're gonna ask them to take up a role in our community development outreach program. I got another pastor who got an evangelistic mission that goes to Zimbabwe, Africa every year, and South Africa every year. Home base here in Orlando, Florida. The class of 1979. Anybody who knows Pastor Anthony Lewis and his beautiful wife, if you don't know about the Ray of Life Ministry, his whole passion and goal has been to take individuals who have gone to Oakwood for theology, and the conference has not picked them up. Meaning, you have theology students who have paid $30,000 a year, who have taken out loans and have not received a job. They have the debt We're in the time of coronavirus. We looking to fund, and I ain't even gonna put a number on it right now, individuals who are already in the pipeline, who don't want to take that gamble with their career with Adventism. We looking for our theology majors who don't want to gamble. We got an annual evangelistic series that goes on here in the States and abroad in Zimbabwe and South Africa. So any of our full scholarship individuals, we just simply gonna ask after we pay for you to go to Oakwood University. We're gonna ask you to serve alongside Ray of Light. We're gonna ask you to serve alongside my wife's organization, the Father's Wish Foundation. And I guarantee you, when we paying for our students to go through Oakwood University, I guarantee you, when our endowment, we ain't taking no United Negro College Fund money. We don't need their money. We ain't taking no NAACP. We don't need their money. We are a private institution for a reason. We got a direct connection to the windows of heaven. We not Leslie Pollard and them. Our hands ain't dirty. So if your desire is to take back control of the purse strings of your institution, because see, I got an 8-year-old that my mom expects to go to her alma mater. I have an 8-year-old that's going to graduate high school in the class of 33. So he would graduate Oakwood, the class of 37. Leslie Pollard is not going to bring Oakwood University crumbling down like Donald Trump is bringing the United States crumbling to the ground. All right. So first we clean house at Oakwood University, then we clean house in the United States of America. Yeah, because when we show the world and the country that there's a blueprint to take back your institution, take back your holy ground, then other people are gonna wake up and they're gonna say, yo, we could do the same thing at our institution. We could do the same thing in our neighborhood. We could do the same thing at our home. And you should be saying the same thing. If they could clean house at Oakwood, we could clean house in Chicago. We could clean house in Detroit. We could clean house in LA. And this is all we're trying to get y'all to understand. Because we are still break the cycle. All right. Love y'all. Hope to see y'all next week, Thursday. Salute y'all parents that made this all happen. I salute y'all parents that made this happen. I'm behind you 100,000%. Whatever you need me to go, whatever you need me to do, listen, I don't care nothing about being the David. I'll be your champion. Just point Goliath out. I don't have no problems. I'll say whatever everybody else is uncomfortable saying, I don't care nothing about. Listen, if it ain't about the desires of these mothers' hearts, getting their children to stand on a sea of glass, I could care less about you, what you think, how you feel. Listen, if you ain't in line with these mothers' hearts and desires for their children to be standing on a sea of glass, singing a song that no man can sing, you don't matter. What you say don't matter, what you think don't matter, what you believe don't matter, you don't matter. Because the King of Kings said he would give them the desires of their heart. Well, we don't care nothing about how you feel about Pollard. We don't care nothing about how you feel about, the structure. Listen, that don't matter. There's a higher power that said all authority in heaven and the earth is given to me, and I give it to you. Those of you who go into the secret place and put yourself in position to receive my Holy Ghost, that's the only people who matter. That's the only people who have say. All right. So, once again, love y'all. Good night. See y'all next week. Peace.